Thank you for joining us today to listen to our presentation, and I'd like to take a moment to introduce you to my colleagues, Amy Johnston, Elaine Yu, Tina Lee, and Lizette Highsmith. We are from Mirage Consulting, and we're here to talk to you about how Mattel can develop their current strategy of creating a future of play into recycling the future of play. All right, so as Mattel, you are the largest designer, manufacturer, and distributor of toys in the world. Your products are sold in over 150 nations, and your portfolios include best-selling brands such as Barbie, Hot Wheels, and American Girl. Last year, in 2012, your worldwide revenues totaled $7 billion. And that is great news for Mattel. But while that does create a world of play in our society, what that also creates is a world of toy waste, which becomes a huge management issue as far as our company is concerned. And so we're here to talk to you about how to take care of some of that waste management, some of those waste management issues. Currently, Mattel has a three-pronged process that you are committed to a future of sustainability as far as the environment is concerned. And your three-pronged process is titled Design It, Make It, Live It. And what does that mean for Mattel? Design it. Design it with the end in mind. Mattel is committed to a future of sustainability as far as their products are concerned, as far as their packaging is concerned. Make it with eco-efficiencies in mind that allow for the company to identify opportunities to gain efficiencies and reduce environmental impacts of your products. Live it with a personal commitment towards sustainability, and that it involves inspiring employee-led grassroots initiatives. On your website currently, you've listed a couple of strategies in order to be able to attain this three-pronged process, which includes play to grow and play with passion. And those are the issues that we're going to focus on today in our presentation. What does play to grow mean? Play to grow means playing with the idea of creating a sustainable future for Mattel, working smarter, working towards reducing the impact that Mattel has on the environment. Play with passion by volunteering to the community that we are a part of, to the community that we are trying to service as creators of these toy products. So what does that mean? It means to help underserved children experience the joy of play that Mattel is determined to create for the world, right? Your current VP of Corporate Affairs, Lisa Marie Bongiovanni, has stated that Mattel is always seeking ways for the company to actively make the world a better place to live and to play. What does Mattel aim to do? These are some of the strategies, some of the goals that you guys have set out for yourselves within the next few years. Mattel wants to improve packaging material efficiency by 5% by 2015. You have decided to increase recycled materials in packaging to 85% by 2015. But more importantly, and this is what we're trying to target here in our presentation to you, is you want to achieve an environmental enhancement gained through innovation with no specific target. So what does that mean? How are we going to achieve this environmental enhancement? And how is Mattel going to create a future of play that involves sustainability? And with that, I want to lead, With that, I'm going to tell you what we recommend. What do we recommend? Working towards your goal of environmental enhancement gained through innovation. We've made a couple of recommendations that involve increasing benefits to Mattel, the environment, and the people that you serve, whether current consumers or future consumers that we hope to gain through our process. And we also want to decrease the harm through ethically conscious efforts. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Elaine Yu to talk about what the issue at hand is.
Thank you, Contia. So I'm Elaine, and I will illustrate the ethical problem faced by Mattel, and also why we think it is ethical issues for Mattel. Okay, so what is the problem for Mattel? So the problem is the waste. It is true that Mattel, you bring great amount of joy to the world, but you also leave behind millions of toy waste to our planet. So think about this. How often you buy your kids a new toy? Once every half a year, or even once a month? And how long your kids playing with this new toy and before they get tired of playing with it. So you can see, usually the toy's life cycle is very short. But one day it is still your kid's best buddy, and the next day it simply just turns into trash. Then what's a big deal for the toy become a trash? We want to take a look at what the toy is usually made of. Plastic. Polyvinyl chloride, known as PVC. Heavy metal. Steel. Magnet. And wood. So, just for example, take Barbie. A Barbie doll is mostly made of PVC, and we would like to know how those waste will have the impact on the environment, on people, and any creatures on the planet. So, see plastic? So, it is estimated that 85% of the plastic ends up in the landfill, and it takes 1,000 years to decompose all the plastic. And during this process, it will potentially leak the pollutants into the soil and water. And also, there are approximately 100 million tons of plastic floating on the ocean that's threatening the life, safety, and health of our marine life. And what about PVC? It's even worse, because PVC is not biodegradable or degradable. So it will maintain its frame for decades, and afterwards the PVC just turn into smaller pieces. Then it is a risk for the animals. They will ingest those PVCs, and those smaller pieces will block their ingest tract and threatening their life. Also because PVC is non-recyclable, so it usually just ends up in the soil. And because you're burning the PVC, you will further release those very harmful pollutants into the air. So for PVC, it just simply pollute the soil. And let's see, during this, those toys, it is not toy that end up as the trash, but as the PVC or plastic. And under these circumstances, environment, animal, marine life, their life and their health is bearing the harm created by those waste. And eventually, our human beings, as the end consumer of air, water, and the seafood, we also facing the challenge of eating those polluted seafood, for example. So, and we think because all those parties, they are not choose to voluntarily choose to be involved in bearing those costs, the harm. So we think if simply ignoring the dealing the waste, Mattel is the only party to enjoy the pleasure, but more parties, they will bearing the cost and harm by the toy waste. So we now head to Lizette to see what's the solution we will present to Mattel and what's the more ethical things they can do.
Thank you, Elaine. So my name is Lizette, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about what our proposal is to get Mattel closer to its goal of becoming more environmentally friendly. Extend a toy's life cycle. When we considered what possible recommendations we could make, we took into account the intensity of the problem, the certainty that this will cause a problem, the accumulated waste, and we took into account which parties are being affected by the overall waste, such as Elaine briefly mentioned. The next part is let more kids enjoy toys. So as part of our process of what we would like to recommend to Mattel is that we have a toy that your child comes home and plays with, and then you eventually have to figure out what do you do with it. Are you going to throw it in the trash? Are you going to give it to a neighbor? What are you going to do with it? What we recommend for Mattel to do is to provide an opportunity for customers to engage further. So we will partner with some of our current vendors, Toys R Us, Walmart, for example, and say, can you please, well, not just say, can you please, right? We're going to have an actual agreement with them, a little more formally, can you please? So we will have somewhere where toys can be placed. And then Mattel will provide some sort of incentive, a reduced coupon price, for people that are submitting the toys. And then our hope for this recommendation is that this will then increase people coming back and actually bringing back the toys. So what are we going to do with those toys though? So now we have a stockpile of toys. What do we do with them? What we will do with them is sort them out into what is recyclable. What toys can we actually gain more benefit from as Mattel? What toys have plastics that can be used for other toys? Once we've done that, we will continue with the screening process to see which toys. There are some toys like Elaine mentioned that contain PVC that can't be recycled. So what do you do with those toys? We still want to be able to reduce the harm of the waste accumulating. So we would make sure that the integrity of these toys still holds up. And then we would, as Mattel, recommend that there would be a donation process. There are other applications that we'll talk about a little further as my colleagues present. But this is how we propose to be more environmentally friendly. There are some problems with our model. The cost of processing recycled toys. We know that there's going to be an additional cost to recycle these toys. We know that there's going to be an additional cost to create these partnerships with our current vendors. The effect of coupon on profit. We acknowledge that there's a possibility that there will be an effect on our current profit if we have a large number of people coming in and receiving coupons. Pollution in the production of new toys. Our hope is that this incentive program is going to encourage families to keep coming back and keep buying up. If I have, for example, my 5-year-old nephew that is no longer playing with his little toy tykes, and he's ready to upgrade to a big boy toy, like Hot Wheels racetracks, then the hope is that when I return this toy to be recycled, that I will have some sort of incentive to do so, and therefore creating more profit for Mattel, more sales. So we do understand that this is also a challenge. Positives. We're hoping that this will, like I just explained, increase sales. It will also, hopefully, build a sound PR for Mattel. It will also decrease the waste of old toys and defer or reduce the pollution. And in return, some of these toys that are being processed require more materials, such as oils, to be created. We hope that there will also be a reduction in other materials being used through the recycling process. Unfortunately, due to proprietary rights, we were unable to locate a full list of what materials are being used through all Mattel toys. We did find some information on, for example, Barbie and some materials like PVC, polyethylene, and so forth. And so in our process, we know that when we're recycling the toys, we need to be aware of the potential pollutants that are within those toys when mixing the different materials. I'm now going to hand it over to Amy, and she's going to explain a little bit more of the financials that come along with our proposal.
Thank you, Lizette. It is my pleasure to be here today to talk to you guys about the financial implications of our plan. So the first part that I'd like to walk you guys through is kind of the feasibility and the practicality of our proposal. So Mattel is actually located here in Southern California, is where their headquarters is at. So we recommend that we start this proposal off with a pilot program that is limited to this geographic area because it would allow upper executives to really follow the pilot program and be able to determine how successful it is, what are the costs associated with it, what are the benefits, are people responding well, just having it limited to this area. This would also help to mitigate the risks. So in case the proposal doesn't work out and things need to be changed, it's easier to do that on a smaller scale implementation as opposed to something that's already across the country. So what does this really look like? If a customer comes in and wants to return a toy or donate a toy, then they would need to interact with a customer service representative at the large retail chain, be it Toys R Us, Walmart, Target. So those are some costs that our partners would want us to incur for us to be able to work with them and partner with them in that respect. In addition, they're going to want some sort of fees or money as they're storing up our donated products until we're able to come and collect them from them. So those are two costs that we have taken into account. In comparison, we feel these are pretty minimal as opposed to the other option of setting up their own donation facilities, which would include having to buy land, having to get a building, having to hire brand new employees to work at these facilities. So we feel that this would be a good way to start off the pilot program while minimizing those costs. So the next part would be that delivery trucks already go to all of our large retailers. So when they go to Toys R Us to drop off the brand new toys, we would ask that the drivers upload or take the used toys that have been donated. This way we're not having to do additional truck rentals or having the trucks do additional routes, thereby using more gasoline and increasing those costs. So we feel, especially with the pilot program, that is going to be on a smaller scale to start out with, that this will help us to kind of mitigate some of those costs. And the most expensive part of our proposal is going to be implementing the inspection part. So the first stage is going to be for us to determine whether or not the toys can be recycled. As my colleagues have already discussed, some plastics can be recycled while others, such as PVC, cannot. And in fact, PVC can actually contaminate recyclable plastics if it accidentally gets into the recycling process. So this is a part of the inspection system that needs to be accurate in order for it to be effective. We feel that Mattel could easily identify the materials in their different toys and then make lists of the toys that can be recycled and toys that cannot be recycled. Now, if the toys can be recycled, great, they'll go off to the recycling production facility. If they cannot, they'll move on to the next stage, which is, can these toys be donated? At that stage, we'll inspect them to see if there's any loose parts, if there's anything that could potentially be dangerous if we donated this, is it in good enough condition for somebody else to play with it? And if it is, then we'd be happy to donate it to children in need to extend the life cycle of the toy that we cannot recycle. If the toy doesn't meet either of those, then it will continue on to be disposed. So to move on to the benefit side of the financial implications of our proposal, we believe that we will have increased sales from positive brand awareness. I don't know how many of you are aware of the company Tom's, but they sell canvas shoes. And for every pair of shoes that you purchase, they donate a pair of shoes to a child in need. And they've really been able to market this appropriately, and we feel that Mattel could kind of follow along their lead of when you bring and donate your old toys, if they can't be recycled, then they'll be donated. And hopefully we can catch a majority of the toys in either of those two categories. So we really feel that this positive corporate citizenship would really help people to feel inclined to choose Mattel when they're at the toy store. In addition, due to a study done by Edelman showed that there's been a 33% increase from 2008 to 2012 of consumers who feel that it is okay for companies to support a good cause while making a profit. And we feel that Mattel could really capitalize on that with this new program. Another part of that study that was done is that when you have two products on the shelf and they're of equal quality and equal price, the next biggest determinant for the consumer in deciding which product to choose has gone up by 26%. In 2012, it was at 53%, is the social purpose of the company that's doing it. So if the company has some sort of recycling program or a donation program, that's something that is at the top of the consumer's mind and is definitely relevant when they're making their purchasing decisions. So we really feel that Mattel could leverage that when they're on the shelf next to their competitors. If you go, oh, I know Mattel has that recycling program, I'll buy this toy instead of this other one. Another way that we're hoping to increase the profit of Mattel with this proposal is a decrease in materials costs due to the recycling. So for the plastics that can be recycled, they will be able to they can use those recycled plastics instead of having to go and procure new raw materials to make those plastics. So a recent example of this has actually been Sprint, who is very good at recycling their cell phones. And there was recently a Forbes article on them where they said that they believe that their recycling program has saved them over about $1 billion in costs. So while we're only starting this off on a small scale for Mattel, we really feel that it will be successful and that in the long run they could realize some very positive cost savings for them to help increase that bottom line. And now Tina is going to come talk about the legal implications of our proposal. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tina. I'm going to talk about the legal issue about our recommendation. So, as our first recommendation is to reuse this material to in our new product manufacturing. There is basically no actual legal issue here. However, our second recommendation is to buy back the toys and donate them to the third party. There will come with some legal issue here. According to the Consumer Safety Organization, one of the most common cause of the defective toy that cause the children injured is that choking the small part. We are pretty sure that the material, when it firstly sell the product to the customer, the quality is very good, in a very good condition. However, after time pass, the product getting worn out, so we need to examine them and to the infection. However, we can still not 100% sure we will. We will still need to pay attention to this kind of liability that it cause, which will put us in a high risky situation. So we need to think about what if the issue toy broken? What if the children ingest our toys, which is falling apart because of the time pass? And therefore, our first recommendation is that we should label the toys with the extra notification for the parents. For example, we need to warn them what kind of damage it may cause and tell them to watch children while they're playing with the toys. And also, we require them to sign